They say power reveals who you truly are. But in Nicolás Maduro's case, power reshaped him. To some, he is a legitimate president defending his country. To others, he is the architect of one of the worst economic collapses in modern history. But behind the speeches, behind the accusations, sanctions, is a far more disturbing question. What kind of psychology does it take to rule a nation in crisis and refuse to let go? In today's video, we're breaking down the rise of Nicolás Maduro, the mental frameworks that sustained his rule, and how power, fear, and paranoia defined his leadership. Let's begin. Nicolás Maduro was born in 1962 in Caracas, Venezuela. Long before the world knew his name, he was a bus driver, a labor union organizer, and a loyal follower of one man, Hugo Chávez. Chávez wasn't just a president. He was a political father figure. And when Chávez died in 2013, Maduro didn't just inherit a country. He inherited an identity. Psychologists call this identity fusion. When a person's sense of self becomes inseparable from a powerful figure or ideology. Maduro didn't see himself as a temporary leader. He saw himself as the continuation of Chávez. And that belief would justify everything that came next. As Venezuela's economy began to collapse, shortages spread, inflation exploded, and millions fled the country. But Maduro didn't respond like a leader facing failure. Instead, he adopted what psychologists call a siege mentality. In this mindset, every critic is an enemy. Every protest is sabotage. Every failure is someone else's fault. Maduro blamed foreign governments, opposition leaders, sanctions, media conspiracies. This wasn't random. Authoritarian psychology thrives on external threats because fear creates loyalty. When people are afraid, they cling to power, even if that power is hurting them. And here's where things get darker. Because power didn't just change how Maduro ruled, it changed how he perceived reality. Clinical psychologists describe a trait known as grandiose narcissism. It includes an exaggerated sense of importance, inability to accept blame, obsession with image and legacy. Over time, Maduro's public behavior began to reflect this pattern. He portrayed himself as the sole protector of Venezuela, the victim of global persecution, the only leader capable of saving the nation. Any challenge to his authority wasn't just political, it was personal. And when narcissism merges with absolute power, compromise becomes impossible. Stepping down would mean admitting failure. And for leaders like Maduro, failure is unthinkable. As unrest grew, Maduro turned toward tighter control of information. State media narratives intensified. Independent outlets faced pressure. Online platforms became battlegrounds. Psychologically, this reflects reality management, a defense mechanism where leaders attempt to reshape perception instead of addressing problems. Because if you control the story, you control how history remembers you. But there was a problem. In the digital age, reality is harder to contain, and cracks in the narrative were becoming impossible to hide. Leaders who rule through fear often develop paranoia. Not imagined paranoia, but constant suspicion that betrayal is inevitable. Insiders become threats. Allies become liabilities. Loyalty tests multiply. Psychologists note that authoritarian figures often mistake control for stability. But control doesn't reduce fear. It amplifies it. And by the mid-2020s, Maduro's leadership was defined less by confidence and more by defensiveness. History rarely judges leaders by what they claim, but by what their people endure. Maduro's supporters see resistance. His critics see devastation. But psychologically, his story follows a familiar pattern. A man fused to power, unable to separate leadership from identity, trapped by the very control he built. whether remembered as a symbol of defiance or decline. One thing is certain: Nicolas Maduro's legacy is inseparable from the psychology of power itself. So let me ask you, was Nicolas Maduro a leader shaped by impossible circumstances, or a man whose psychology made collapse inevitable? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep dive documentaries into the minds behind power, crime, and control, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.